Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling, and hope you guys are having a good day and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check the video out. Really appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about, like the title said, why the heck am I doing so good in the tournaments this year? It's not a video, to toot my own horn or anything. It's a video I want to sort of go over the bigger picture on what determines your success or not being successful in fishing, because there's some elements involved with it that most people don't understand, especially a lot of the armchair bass anglers that go out and judge tournament anglers based upon their performance. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Just a couple quick housekeeping tips, guys, before we get started here, that you guys love to hear the housekeeping tips every day. Just want to invite everybody to please swing by fishthemoment.com and check out my fall fish the moment lake map breakdowns. Good resource to get ready for your fall fishing. These will give you 40 good GPS waypoints you can download straight to your fish finder with tips and advice on how to fish all those spots. So I'll put the fish the moment lake map breakdown link in the description. And also, we've got my Blaukat throwback jig back in stock at Tackle Warehouse. They sold out, you guys heard talking about it. They sold out last week, the first day they dropped. Back in stock now. And here's the two colors I'd recommend, guys. Get you some brown and orange and some green and chartreuse. These are my two favorite colors for fall bass fishing. So I'll put my Tackle Warehouse Cumberland Pro Lures Blaukat throwback jig link in the description. Really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I've been wanting to do this video for a while because I get a lot of hate on topics anytime that I fish a tournament. If I don't do as good as what people think, they say, hang it up, Grandpa, you're washed up, give it up, you're a dinosaur, you don't have any part in the sport anymore, you suck. I hear it all out there. And this year, guys, I'm in the top. We have one tournament left in both circuits I'm fishing, and I'm in the top 15 in both of those point standings, which is the Plains Division Toyota Series and the Ozark Division BFL, which in my opinion are arguably the two toughest, circuits in those divisions, respectively. And we've had anywhere between 150 to 200 plus boats in the tournament, and I've been able to be in the top 15 in the point standings, not using any live scope. Another thing about it, not only am I probably the only person that didn't use live scope, I've only had like a day of practice for all the tournaments at the most. Maybe not even that. There was 2 tournaments this year that I didn't have any practice. Most of the other tournaments, what I had to do, guys, is I had to drop my son off at school in the morning, and then I'd drive to the lake. It could be anywhere between an hour and a half to 3 hours from here. I'd get to the lake like 10:30 in the morning. I'd fish till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and have to drive back to take care of the kids in the evening. So I didn't have hardly any practice at all. A lot of guys were practicing 4 and 5 days for these tournaments. So what is it that has allowed me to be in the top 15 in the points, not practicing and not having any live scope? And 2 of the tournaments, guys, I didn't even have a depth finder. My last tournament, we fished at Truman Lake. My buddy's boat's depth finders weren't even working, and another one, I had a problem with my unit, so I didn't even have any electronics in 2 of those tournaments, and still in the top 15. So here's the thing that a lot of people have to understand. A lot of the haters out there that like to goof anytime a pro has a bad season or a bad tournament. I've had a chance to have some very successful seasons in my career. Back in the I think it was 99 or 98, I won the Bassmaster Invitational's points division. I was the Angler of the Year with Bassmaster with that. I finished second one year back in the early 90s in the Bassmaster Angler of the Year points race in the top 100 circuit. I've had a bunch of top 10 finishes in the seasons. Same with FLW. I've had a lot of good years in there, and I've also had some suck years. I've had some years recently and even in the past where I just sucked. I could not catch a fish for nothing. But here's the thing about it, what a lot of people don't understand. It's like, I don't care if it's me or anybody else, a pro that's fishing. You could finish, in the bottom, half of the point standings one year, and then like the next year you could do really good, but you're always a better angler every single year. A couple of years ago, when I had a suck season, I finished like 120th in the points or something like that. I was a better fisherman that year than I was when I won Angler of the Year in the Bassmaster Opens, or when I almost won Angler of the Year in the Bassmaster Top 100s. Simply because you know more, you have more experience, you have more to draw on, and that experience accumulates. It accumulates over time. So regardless of your performance, regardless of how well you do in a tournament, as a tournament angler, as a long-term tournament angler, don't pay much attention to how good your seasons are. If you're having a good season or a bad season, it doesn't really matter because you're always getting better. Now back to the point of why the heck I'm having such a good year this year and being in the top 15 in the points. Okay, first of all, there is some advantage not to having a lot of practice because you tend to fish more open-minded. You tend to want to make those adjustments quicker because if I would have practiced for 3 or 4 days for those tournaments, I'd have probably located quite a few areas that had fish in them. And then if one area wasn't working, I tend to jump around more and I tend to get locked into what I figured out in practice. When you don't have much practice, you fish with an open mind. And if you have as much experience as I do in bass fishing, you have a lot to draw on as far as actual bass fishing. I'm not, if you're a live scoper, what I'm talking about is irrelevant because you just go out there in the middle of the lake and look at a Nintendo game screen. But I'm talking about real bass fishermen that fish with basic electronics. You have to understand seasonal movements of bass mood and personality, and you have to understand how they relate to various structures at various times of the day. You have to understand sunlight levels and light intensity levels and subtle changes within the water clarity and tint. There's hundreds of variables that come into play that you have to make the right decisions in. And the longer that you fish, like myself that has been fishing for 50 years, I don't really have to have much practice because I have got so much experience that I can draw upon to tell me where to go instinctually and intuitively that you simply don't need that. Now, what's the difference like between, a year where I'm catching them really good this year versus 2 or 3 years ago or whatever when I sucked? The only difference is it's a fine line. It's not anything big. It's not that you're going downhill or you suck or anything like that. It's all about making the right decisions on the water. So let me give you an example. Let's say, 2 years ago, I was fishing down, say, a rocky bank on Table Rock Lake. And, I chose to throw a crawdad pattern crankbait down this bank. I make a cast, I work down this bank with a crawdad crankbait, fish down through it. I'm fishing it with like a medium stop and go retrieve, and I'm not catching anything. The next person comes down that bank behind me, and he's throwing the same crawdad crankbait, but he's fishing it with a faster retrieve, and he smokes them. That is what I'm talking about, that there's a fine line in bass fishing between having a really good season and a suck season. It's a matter of timing. It's a matter of decision-making process. It's a matter of being at the right place at the right time with the right lure, and you can't do everything. That's why it's very difficult in bass fishing to be consistent every year if you're a real bass fisherman, simply because those variables, the variables that are controlled and the uncontrolled variables all have to come together in order for you to have a successful day on the water. And sometimes they just don't. You don't have unlimited amount of time to try everything in your box. You have to make a decision based upon the conditions. You decide where you want to fish, with what techniques you want to fish. Sometimes you make the right decisions and sometimes you don't for real bass fishing. This is not applied to using the cheater box out there. So that's the question about it. Here's another funny thing about it. I'll tell you a little story about the haters, guys. It's like, every time if I'm having a bad tournament or a bad season, the haters will come out of the woodwork and they'll say, "Oh, Randy, you suck. Your grandpa, you're a dinosaur. Hang it up. You can't catch any fish anymore. Your old ways of fishing don't work." They love it. They just love to trash you. And then if you have a good tournament, like I go out and say, if I have a really good tournament or good season, it's like, well, what do you expect? Those lakes, you've been fishing forever. You're supposed to be doing good. So there's no winning with the haters. It doesn't matter if you win a tournament or if you finish in last place, haters are going to hate, which we do have a lot of them on this channel here, unfortunately. It is entertaining, though. I do find it entertaining occasionally. But anyway, guys, like I said, it's great to have good years fishing. It's a lot more funner to catch them than not to catch them. But a little piece of advice I'll give you is don't let your self-esteem as an angler be affected by how your success or how your results are, because it doesn't make any difference if you catch them or don't. Every single day that you're on the water, you're a better angler than you were the day before or the week before or the year before. So just remember that, and remember that you're not going to catch them every day. You're not going to catch them every year. Nobody does. And especially when you start to get over 50 years old. So for somebody like myself that is a senior citizen, I'll be 63 years old in 2 months, to be in the top 15 in the point standings. Don't ever let anybody say that your old ways don't work, because they do. Because I've been fishing nothing but old ways. I've no fancy technology, old school flipping jigs, spinner bait, and still beating the guys that are out there spotlighting for bass. So you guys can do it too. So don't feel like you got to get sucked into the technology to compete, because you don't. Anyway, guys, just wanted to throw that past you. Hope you guys are having a good day, and we'll talk later.